Hello friends, I am Arpit and I am here with today's analysis. Today is 4th of October and we are going to deal with three very important topics which are in news. The first is Kazind 2024. As the name suggests, Kaz comes from Kazakhstan and Ind from India. It is a joint military exercise between both these countries conducted annually. This year's edition was conducted in Auli, where the Indian Army Kuma Regiment and the Indian Air Forces participated along with the Kazakhstan Land Army and the Air Force of Kazakhstan. The main aim is to establish interoperability, tackle conditions related to terrorism in semi-urban areas, and to teach the best practices to each other. Second is overseas citizen of India. Overseas citizens of India are those people who have their roots attached to India. They might not be born in India, but their roots are attached. They might have held Indian passport in their lifetime, given up on it and adopted the citizenship of another country. In a nutshell, they are not holding Indian passport, but they have roots attached with India. On the other hand, we have NRIs also. These people are not residing in India, but are holding Indian passport, means still they are Indian citizens. We will be discussing about the rights, obligations, limitations on these group of people. India is a country which has the highest amount of diaspora in the world. Diaspora comprises of OCIs and NRIs. The third is India becomes the world's third largest producer and consumer of ethanol. Ethanol is a biofuel which is generated from, rice husk, sugarcane molasses, and such like. What is the significance of ethanol? It can be blended with petrol and can be used as a fuel. Blending will reduce the import dependence of India of petrol and diesel, and most importantly, it is beneficial for the environment. By 2025-26, India has to achieve a target of blending 20% of ethanol in petrol, which we are calling it E20. It has been achieved in 9 or 10 states already, but yes, the target is for pan India, and let's see how things unfold. Kazind, the 8th edition of this exercise, was held in Oli. It is known as Kazind 2024. It has started at the Surya Foreign Training Node in Oli. This will run from September 30 to October 13, 2024. So both the countries are participating. It is a bilateral exercise, and it started in 2016 and has been taking place annually, once in India, the next year in Kazakhstan. So like this year it was there in India. Last year, that is the 2023 edition, was there in Otar, Kazakhstan from October 30 to November 11, 2023. Participation details. Who participates? Indian Armed Forces. So 120 personnel this time from the Kuma Regiment are participating in this, along with members from other branches, including the Indian Air Force. So it is basically an armed forces exercise or a military exercise in which various branches of armed forces are participating. This time, Kumaon Regiment of Indian Army and the Indian Air Force is participating. Contingent from Kazakhstan mainly consists of personnel from their land forces and airborne assault troopers. Objectives of this exercise. Generally, the objectives of the exercise are to establish interoperability. And so is the ultimate objective of this exercise also. But let's see in detail what it is. It is one of the aim is to improve the military capabilities of both the nations for conducting counter-terrorism operations in non-conventional scenarios, as outlined under Chapter 7 of United Nations Charter. Non-conventional scenarios, urban areas, semi-urban areas, like this. Do terrorist attack over here? Yes, definitely. 2611 is a classic example of a terrorist attack in an urban area. Focus will be on operations in semi-urban and mountainous terrain, ensuring high level of physical fitness, participating in refining tactical drills, and sharing best practices for military drills or military operations with each other. The tactical drills which have been conducted during the exercise, several tactical drills will be conducted, including joint responses to terrorist actions, setting up a joint command post, creating an intelligence and surveillance center, securing helipads and landing sites, combat free fall and special heliborne operations, conducting cordon and search operations, utilizing drones and counter drone system. That is why the Indian Air Force and the air assault troopers from Kazakhstan are involved. Kazind 2024 will allow both armies to share effective tactics, techniques, and procedures for conducting joint operations, promoting interoperability, friendship, cooperation between the two nations' forces. So these are generally what it is there. But yes, a bit about Kuma Regiment also we should know what is this regiment, because UPSC's unpredictable nature have to be tackled by us. Kuma Regiment is the most decorated regiment of the Indian Army. 18th century it was established and has participated in every major campaign of both the British Indian Army and the Indian Army, including the two world wars. So since it was established back to the 18th century, we can date it back to, so it is a very old regiment. Regiment recruits soldiers mainly from the Kumaon division and the Ahirs from the plains. So that is why this name Kumaon Regiment is. India-Kazakhstan relations, how they have been. Now, historical background, we have long-standing ties and a rich historical relationship with Kazakhstan. Basically, many rulers from there came to India and, uh, were associated or had relations with the contemporary rulers of that time from India. It spans over 2000 years with exchanges in goods, cultural ideas, including the spread of Buddhism and Sufi concepts to Kazakhstan and from Kazakhstan into India. Political relations, early recognition. India was one of the first countries to recognize Kazakhstan's independence after Soviet Union's collapse. So Kazakhstan was part of the Soviet Union. But before that, we need to also understand that Kazakhstan is part of the Central Asian Republic. CARs or Central Asian region we can call it. There are 5 stans in that: Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan and Tajikistan. This is extremely resource rich region. We also have uranium imports from Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan actually supplies or exports 45% of uranium to the world. So this entire region, the 5 stans which I just mentioned, are mineral rich countries, and specifically we will be focusing upon Kazakhstan. So these 5 stans, the Central Asian republics, were not wanting to come out of the Soviet Union. They were wanting that the Soviet Union remains intact because they were having an edge by becoming or by being the member of Soviet Union. What kind of edge? A geographical edge. Geographical edge simply means that these countries are landlocked. Let me correct myself. These countries are doubly landlocked. Doubly landlocked means their neighboring countries are also landlocked. So now they have to deal with this situation where they are individual countries, their neighboring countries are individual countries, and then third country which is having a shoreline, from there import and export will happen. But when they were part of this USSR, there was a massive shoreline in the entire USSR which they benefited from. But now they don't have any shorelines. That is why they were not willing to come out of the Soviet Union, sorry. But yes, Soviet Union's collapse did happen. That is the reality, that is a fact. And India became one of the first countries to recognize Kazakhstan as an independent country. 1992, we established diplomatic relations. In Almaty, we opened an embassy in May 1992, with Kazakhstan opening its embassy in New Delhi in 1993. When Kazakhstan moved its capital to Astana in 1997, India shifted its representative office there also in 2003. Visits, significant visits have been there between the two countries. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru visited Almaty in 1955, followed by Dr. S. Radhakrishnan in 1956. President Nur Sultan Nazarbayev visited India several times starting 1992. His 2009 visit upgraded relations to strategic partnership between India and Kazakhstan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also visited Kazakhstan and participated in major summits, enhancing the ties further. Now, this year there was a question with respect to India's relations with the entire CAR, that is Central Asian Republics. Now, these recent developments, if I talk about, on January 27, 2022, President Kasim Jomart Tokayev attended the first India Central Asia Summit. This India Central Asia Summit started in 2022. India's participation in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization has also solidified these ties because Kazakhstan is part of SCO as well. Now, the next is overseas citizens of India. So first of all, we need to understand one thing. We need to understand the term diaspora. Diaspora is basically derived from a Greek word called as diasperine. Diasperine simply means dispersion. The people of India who have dispersed from India. Now, currently, there are two categories or two, I would say, subcategories in Indian diaspora. But before 2015, there were three categories. So, let us understand these three categories. First was PIO, persons of Indian origin. Second, OCI, overseas citizens of India. And third was NRI. The basic difference between these three also we will understand over here. NRIs, those Indians who are still holding the Indian passport, means they have the Indian citizenship, but they are not residing in India. They are residing in any foreign country for XYZ reasons, for jobs, for study, or for any purpose. So those are NRIs. OCIs are those people who in their lifetime have given up on Indian passport and adopted a passport of another country, means they have given up on Indian citizenship and adopted the citizenship of another country. Indian citizenship rules does not allow dual citizenship. Dual citizenship means at a same time or at a certain point of time, you can hold Indian citizenship also and foreign citizenship also. This is not allowed in India. Okay. So those people who in their lifetime gave up on Indian citizenship and adopted citizenship of other countries were categorized as OCIs. PIOs, they never held an Indian passport, means they never had Indian citizenship, but their cultural roots are there in India. How? Their forefathers might be taken to those countries and they might be born over there. So since they were born over there, they became citizens of those countries only. They never, had Indian citizenship. And due to this logic, they were called as persons of Indian origin. But in 2015, Government of India merged these two categories. PIO was removed and now only we have OCIs and NRIs. PIOs are considered as OCIs only. In a nutshell, we should understand it in this way. Okay. Now, why this is in news? Because recently the Indian Ministry of External Affairs addressed concerns raised by overseas citizens of India regarding their classification as foreigners. It clarified that there have been no recent changes to OCI rules and the existing regulations from a 2021 Gazette notification remain in effect. So there was kind of a misinformation which was being spread. We live in the digital age, so this kind of things happen. The current government is too much into retail diplomacy. Retail diplomacy means when a leader from our country goes and engages with the people over there of other countries or people over there of Indian origin, not other countries, but Indian origin. So they got offended, the OCIs, that why the government of India is classifying us as foreigners. Then the clarification came from the government of India that we have not done this. Your status remains as it was earlier. So let us see about OCIs. Overseas citizens of India is a person of Indian origin who has been granted an OCI card. So every OCI is eligible to get OCI card, allowing them certain rights and privileges in India. Like for example, if you have an OCI card, you don't need to apply for a visa if you are coming to India. Your OCI card is equivalent to your visa. This status was created to facilitate a connection between India and its diaspora living abroad. Background of the OCI scheme. OCI scheme was launched in August 2005. This was that time period when there were three categories: PIOs, OCIs and NRIs. In 2015, there were two categories. No. It provides registration for all persons of Indian origin who were citizens of India on January 26, 1950 or afterwards, or those who were eligible for Indian citizenship on that date. The initiative aimed to offer dual citizenship. Dual citizenship is in quote unquote, as stated by Mr. L.K. Advani. Technically speaking, no dual citizenship is allowed, but yes, just to attract them, just to give them honor, we called them that these people have dual citizenship, and this OCI card is the, I would say, testament to the dual citizenship of these OCIs. This is your country. You can come anytime. You can stay for any length of period over here. not a problem. Rights and privileges of OCI card holders. There are visa benefits. OCI card holders receive a multiple entry lifelong visa for visiting India. They are not required to register with local police authorities for any length of stay. They are a large community. As of 2023, there were over 4.5 million OCI card holders across 129 countries. United States has the largest number with about 1.68 million OCI card holders. They have equal status with NRIs. NRIs are Indian citizens only. So they have an equal status with them. Like initially, OCI holders had similar rights to non-resident Indians in economic, financial, and educational matters, except for buying agricultural land. But now I think that is also allowed. Recent changes. On March 4, 2021, Ministry of Home Affairs issued a notification that updated rules for OCI card holders. Now the government this time has said that these are the only latest rules for OCIs. There have been no changes. So don't worry, that might be a fake circular. Permission required. OCI card holders must seek permission to visit protected areas in India similar to foreign nationals. Research and activities. New restrictions require OCI holders to obtain special permits for conducting research or undertaking missionary, journalistic, or other specified activities in protected areas. Financial regulations. The new rules treat OCI holders as foreign nationals for certain economic and educational purposes, reversing their previous equal status with NRIs. So their equal status with NRIs earlier has been reversed under the Foreign Exchange Management Act, FEMA. So they need permission to do any economic activity in India. They're not allowed to purchase agricultural land. Their earlier status with at par with NRIs have also been reversed. Okay. So the government has done this probably because government was skeptical about foreign funding for anti-national activities in India, and that foreign funding can be routed into India via these OCIs. This is what the government of India was skeptical about. Historical changes. The 2021 notification replaced earlier notifications from 2005, 7 and 2009, which defined OCI rights. 2005 notification allowed lifelong multiple entry visas and exemptions from registration for any length of stay, along with parity with NRIs in most fields. Lifelong multiple visa is still there, but parity with NRIs is not there. 2007 update expanded rights to include equal treatment with NRIs for inter-country adoptions, domestic airfare and entry fees at wildlife parks. 2009 amendments further enhanced rights, aligning OCI holders with NRIs in terms of entry fees at monuments and eligibility for professional exams. But now there have been differences. Restrictions for OCI applicants. Ineligibility. Individuals are not eligible for OCI status if their parents or grandparents were ever citizens of Pakistan or Bangladesh. So they will not be allowed to be given OCI. However, spouses of Indian citizens or OCI holders married for at least 2 years can apply for OCI card. Voting and employment limitations. OCI card holders cannot vote in elections in India, hold positions in legislative assembly, parliament or other constitutional offices like president or judge, generally hold government jobs in India. So they will not be allowed. Now we have a difference between NRIs, PIOs and OCI. PIOs, however, does not exist now, but yes, we know the concept. So this will help us in getting a better clarity about it. NRI, Indian citizen residing outside India for more than 183 days in a year for job, business, education, etc. Special overseas bank accounts, they are allowed to have this benefit. Reservation quota in Indian education, obviously since they are Indian citizens, so they will be allowed for that. Can vote in elections, must be physically present. Income earned abroad, not taxed in India. So it will not be taxed. Can vote in elections, but no proxy voting or such like this. You have to be present in India for voting. Limitations: cannot purchase agricultural land. Income earned in India is taxable. So these are the two limitations on NRIs. PIOs, persons of Indian origin. Foreign citizen of Indian origin with ancestors who were Indian nationals currently holding a foreign passport. PIO card serves as a visa for travel to India. Now PIO card does not exist. It is OCI card only. Can work, study in India without a special visa. Fast immigration clearance. 180 days of continuous stay without registration is allowed. Financial economic benefits on par with NRIs. PIO card valid for 15 years and must be renewed. Cannot hold government jobs. Cannot vote. Must register after 180 days of stay. Cannot purchase agricultural land. So NRIs can purchase. So PIOs so definitely will not purchase. Will not be allowed to purchase. OCI, foreign citizen of Indian origin, providing an alternative for dual citizenship. Acts as a lifelong visa for entry to India. Exemptions from registration with FRRO. Parity with NRIs in various fields. Discounted fees for domestic travel, national parks and museums. Access to investment opportunities. Work or study in India. Cannot hold government jobs, cannot vote, require special permissions for research, cannot purchase agricultural land. Some activities may require special permissions. So these are the limitations on OCI's part. So with this, we need to have that clarity, OCIs, PIO, NRIs and all. So that is basically there. Now India becomes world's third largest producer and consumer of ethanol. Ethanol is a biofuel. Wherever the word bio is used, it pertains to a living organism. That living organism can be a flora or a fauna, doesn't matter. So biofuel means a fuel which is created by some flora or fauna. We can understand it in this way. And ethanol is created by flora. It is, it can be created by multiple ways. We will see by what ways ethanol can be, done. But what is the benefit of ethanol? Why this ethanol is too much into news? Ethanol can be blended with petrol, means mixed with petrol. Government of India has kept a target of blending 20% of ethanol in petrol by 2025-26. This simply means that if you go to buy 1 liter of petrol after 2025-26, that 1 liter of petrol will have 800 ml of petrol and 200 ml of ethanol. So 20% reduction in consumption of petrol you are doing. 20% reduction in consumption means 20% reduction in imports of petrol. Most importantly, this blended petrol or this blended fuel has a lesser carbon footprint. That is also one such I would say benefit of it. So it is benefiting in multiple ways, and these are the multiple ways which we just talked about. On September 26, 2024, Union Minister Shri Prahlad Joshi spoke at the India Sugar and Bioenergy Conference, emphasizing India's achievements in ethanol production and need for sustainable practices in sugar and bioenergy. So key highlights: India's position in ethanol production. India is the third largest producer of ethanol in the world. Brazil, USA are ahead of us. And we three, Brazil, USA and India, were also the founding members of the International Biofuels Alliance. So it was like this. This progress is due to smart policy changes by the government. Ethanol blended petrol program has been key in boosting ethanol production, benefiting sugar mills financially and helping reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So what the government has done, like ethanol is produced from sugar molasses. So what the government does, it procures sugar molasses, which was earlier a waste for the sugar industry. And sugar industry is earning money out of it as well by selling that. And that sugar molasses is converted into ethanol. So circularity is getting achieved, waste is getting reduced, and most importantly, that ethanol, when it is blended with petrol, it is reducing greenhouse gases also. So it is a win-win situation. That is a smart policy move by the government of India. Economic benefits of ethanol. Over the last decade, sugar mills have gained from selling ethanol, leading to the creation of new distilleries in rural areas, which has provided both direct and indirect jobs. Increased ethanol production supports India's renewable energy goals and strengthens the agriculture economy. Commitment to farmer-centric policies. What are the commitment to the farmer-centric policies? Minister stressed the importance of policies focused on farmers to stay competitive globally. Notable achievements include 18% increase in area used for sugarcane farming, 40% rise in sugarcane production over the last 10 years. Introduction of minimum selling price for sugar in 2018 has helped secure farmers' interest with nearly 99% of cane payments made, totaling around 1.14 lakh crore rupees. Now, there can also be some negative aspects of it. Sugarcane is a water intensive crop. If you give too much incentives over here, more and more farmers will go for producing it. So you need to have a balance. I'm just giving you an alternate viewpoint. Farmers as energy producers, farmers are transitioning from being annadatas to urja datas, energy providers, playing a crucial role in renewable energy sector, vital for achieving India's net zero emission targets by 2070. So net zero is whatever you are emitting, you are, taking back that. Global collaboration opportunities. India, as the second largest sugarcane producer after Brazil, seeks to collaborate with Brazil on biofuels like ethanol and biodiesel. Minister highlighted opportunities in the bioenergy sector such as 2G and 3G ethanol. There is second generation, third generation, fourth generation ethanol. We'll see what it is, what is the difference. Okay. So currently we are at second generation, first and second generation ethanol we are producing. We have not gone to third generation or we have not gone to fourth generation. What is the difference? We will see abhi. Okay. So it is like this. Minister highlighted opportunities in bioenergy sector such as 2G, 3G, ethanol, green hydrogen and bioplastics, technology exchange and joint research to attract investment in biofuels, engaging with Global Biofuels Alliance for broader cooperation. Promoting Indian agriculture globally, India is seen as a global food basket with efforts underway to promote India's food products internationally under the Bharat brand, like Bharat Atta, Bharat Dal and all. It is also been, introduced. Sustainable packaging practices are being encouraged to enhance appeal of Indian agricultural products in the global market. Future outlook for sugar production. Secretary of Department of Food and Public Distribution noted favorable monsoons and good crop yields expected for 2024-25. So we need to consider all this. But yes, what is ethanol? Ethanol is a biofuel, first of all. So I have added a word bio. So bio means it is produced from any living organism. Here it is flora, sugarcane, molasses, but can also come from other agricultural byproducts like rice husk, the parali, which the farmers burn and that causes a lot of problems. Maize. It is a clear liquid known for its distinct smell and taste. So crop is grown, sugarcane crop is over here in this example. Fermentation happens. Purification happens, ethanol is produced, blending happens, transporting of the blended fuel. E10 means 10% ethanol, 90% petrol. This gets transported, this goes to the petrol pumps and from the petrol pumps into our vehicles. Let me draw the wheels also. So it is like this. Now, nowadays, if you go to many petrol pumps in Delhi NCR only, I've seen E20 is available. So E20 means 20% of that fuel is blended with ethanol. Generations of biofuel, like we talked about 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G. So there are 4 generations of biofuels, specifically talking about ethanol. The first generation is produced from, sugar, corn, starch, etc. This has high carbon content. High carbon content. Chalo, let us understand this. When this grows, this crop grows, it has carbon in it. Okay, because any living organism will have carbon in it. When it is growing as a crop, it is a flora, so it will take in carbon dioxide and give oxygen. And due to the intake of carbon dioxide, there is carbon in it. When it is converted into a fuel, that is ethanol, at that time maybe certain amount of carbon emissions will be there. And then when it is used as a fuel, let's suppose E10 or E20, whatever it is used as, then also there will be certain carbon emissions. Though the carbon emissions are too high in the first generation, it has high carbon content. Second generation, again, high carbon content but lesser than the first generation. Carbon emissions are more than carbon reductions. Carbon reductions happen at the time when they are growing as a crop. They will take in carbon dioxide, give oxygen. But after that, when they are converted into fuel, that time, machinery and all will be used for fermentation. Emissions will be done. They will be used as a fuel, then emissions will be done. So those are collectively called as carbon emissions. They are very high than carbon reductions in the first and second generation biofuels. They are carbon positive. Third generation biofuels, they are carbon neutral. The amount of carbon they are sucking in while they are growing will be equal to the amount of carbon emitted while they are being converted into a fuel and when they are used as a fuel. That is third generation biofuel, carbon neutral. Microorganisms like algae and all will be producing this. Fourth generation biofuel is made from genetically engineered crops. They are carbon negative. They will be sucking in more carbon and they will be emitting less carbon. We are currently over here, first and second generation. We have not reached this. We have not reached this. Any country in the world have not reached this service, third and fourth generation. But yes, research is there and possibilities are there. Ethanol blending program in India. So 20% is the target set by India to blend petrol with 20% ethanol by 2025-26, and in some 8-9 states it has started also. Ethanol blending program began in 2003. The ethanol blending program promotes mixing ethanol with petrol to cut down fossil fuel use. India aims to blend 20% ethanol into petrol and 5% biodiesel into diesel by 2030. Target for 2025-26 is to achieve 20% blending of ethanol. So 2025-26, 20% blending of ethanol has to be there in the petrol. Now, 655 crore liters ethanol has been supplied to OMCs by sugar mills since 2014-15. 32,170 crore rupees OMCs have paid to the sugar mills, which in turn helped the sugar mills to pay remuneration to farmers. So, in effect, it is benefiting the farmers also. But there are challenges as well. First is existing gasoline storage systems may not be compatible with ethanol, requiring upgrades. So, infra upgrade has to be there if things have to materialize. Sourcing enough corn on sugarcane for ethanol production can be difficult. That is also there. Ethanol has lower energy content than gasoline, which may lead to more frequent refueling and higher repair cost for some vehicles. So, it can reduce the efficiency. Calorific value and all is less. Ethanol production can also require significant water and land resources, impacting the environment because it is a water intensive crop, that sugarcane. So that are the challenges which have to be overcome. Now the MCQs. Consider the following statements and mark the correct ones. First, Kazind exercise is a biannual exercise between India and Kazakhstan. 2024 edition of Kazind was conducted in Auli. Only one, only two, both one and two, neither one nor two. Second is, consider the following statements and mark how many of them are correct. Government of India merged OCI and PIO categories in 2015. India started observing Pravasi Bharatiya Divas from 2003 onwards on the recommendations of Dilip Singh Bhuria committee. Third, USA is the country with the highest Indian diaspora. I have not discussed one of the statements over here, but yes, it is expected from you guys that you answer this question correctly. Correct answers definitely will be appreciated. Third, consider the following statements and mark the correct one. OCI have a lifelong visa for India, but they have to report to the police stations if their stay exceeds 180 days at a time in India. OCI card holders are entitled to contest elections for any tier, local, state or parliamentary in India. Only one, only two, both one and two, neither one nor two. Fourth question, E20, a term often in news, refers to which of the following? 20% blending of biodiesel in diesel by 2025-26, 20% blending of biodiesel in diesel and ethanol in petrol by 2025-26, 20% blending of ethanol in petrol by 2025-26, 20% vehicles to be EVs on Indian roads by 2025-26. Relatively simple question. Which of these is correctly matched? Generations of biofuel, carbon emissions. First generation, carbon neutral they are. Second generation, again they are carbon neutral. Third generation, they are carbon negative. D, none of the above. So which of these is correctly matched? Now the answers to the MCQs of yesterday. What was the theme for UNGA 2024? I am directly coming to the answer. This was very simple question, leaving no one behind. At which place were the initial discussions on formation of UNO happened? Initial discussions, Yalta, no. Dumbarton Oaks, yes. Then it went on to Yalta. San Francisco Conference was after the Second World War. With respect to Japan, this conference was conducted by USA, and USA wanted to take away sovereignty of Japan, but this is obviously not there. London, no. So Dumbarton Oaks, that is B, is going to be the correct answer for this. Third, consider the following statements and mark the correct one. The major beneficiaries in the Mudra scheme in India are women. This is absolutely true. 67% of the beneficiaries are women. PM Swanidhi scheme is for providing financial assistance to street vendors in the form of collateral free loans. Yes. So both 1 and 2 are correct. Loans are provided collateral free, and there are 3 categories. Once the people are able to repay back, then the second category is issued, then third category is issued. And the last question, consider the following statements and mark the correct one. SDG 12 aims at reducing food waste. Yes, it aims at reducing it. SDG 12 aims at establishing circular economies. Yes, it is also true. So C is going to be the correct answer for this. Now with this, we come to an end of today's session. I will see you tomorrow now with more such informative news pieces. We'll continue our thematic discussions on SDGs. Till then, you guys very well know what to do. Namaste. Jai Hind.